You're listening to Girls with Grafts, a burn community podcast created by Phoenix Society for Burn Survivors, a leading nonprofit dedicated to supporting the burn community. In this podcast, we'll talk with burn survivors, share resources to help with supporting and improving burn recovery, and discuss how to prevent burn injuries. Here are your hosts, burn survivors and Phoenix Society's marketing team, Amber Wilcox and Rachel Kudlak.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Girls with Grafts. I am Rachel Kudlak, and I'm one of the hosts of the podcast. And today, unfortunately, I won't be joined by my lovely co-host, Amber Wilcox, but that's okay because I have a really exciting guest to have on. So without further ado, I'm just going to go ahead and jump in. So first, I just want to give a quick shout out to today's podcast sponsor. So today's podcast is powered by Jensen Hughes. Jensen Hughes has been a global leader in fire protection engineering since 1939. Their diverse team of more than 1,700 engineers, scientists, and consultants tackle complex risk, safety, and security challenges, helping clients protect lives, property, and reputations. Together, they blend expert knowledge, innovative solutions, and cutting-edge research to make the world safe, secure, and resilient. And our guest certainly knows a lot about that organization because we have on Raj Arora, who is the CEO of Jensen Hughes. As a global market leader, Raj guides the company's rapid expansion while ensuring a steadfast commitment to technical excellence and exceptional client service. Through his leadership, he has transformed the company culture, helping to accelerate growth and inspire its engineers, consultants, data scientists, and functional experts to develop and deliver innovative solutions that make our world safe, secure, and resilient. Throughout his 2 decades in the fire, security, and risk engineering industry, Raj has built a reputation as a skilled engineer and a strategic business leader with a passion for fostering a positive organizational culture. He is a licensed professional engineer and also serves as a board of director for the National Fire Protection Association. So thank you so much, Raj, for joining us today.
Oh my gosh, thanks for having me. I'm embarrassed with that introduction. I'm looking forward to the conversation today.
No, don't be embarrassed. You have so much knowledge. I'm excited to talk more about fire protection and engineering. I know that's something our listeners, we talk a lot about the aftercare for burn survivors. So this is exciting to have a little bit different topic on the show today.
Yeah, thanks again.
Yeah. So I know I just read your bio, but I would love if you could kind of start us off by just telling us a little bit more about yourself and how you first got involved in the fire protection industry.
Sure. Well, again, my name is Raj. I live in Washington, D.C. I'm married and have a 12-year-old daughter who runs the show. So she has a Stanley mug.
Oh, we match.
She has Lululemon and Sephora products and all the things middle school girls love. So, that's my family, and it all starts there for me. Professionally, I am the CEO of Jensen Hughes, as you mentioned. I feel very grateful to have this position. I am on the board of NFPA, where I met Amy for the first time a number of years ago, Amy Acton. How I got into fire protection engineering, I grew up in a household where my father started a business, an engineering business, and I was 8 years old when he started the business, and it was in the basement of our house. And then it grew from there, but the business did mechanical, electrical, and plumbing, MEP engineering, but embedded within that was fire protection engineering, which many of those generalist firms market and perform that service to an extent. So when I went to engineering school at the University of Maryland, I started off as an electrical engineer, and I just wasn't feeling the vibe of like thousands of people in an engineering program, and it was just very overwhelming at that university. And I was involved with a lot of social things like a fraternity, and I found out that the fire protection engineering program was a smaller program that was more family oriented and looked after you, and um, had a strong alumni network, and that you would be a specialist in the field, kind of on day one. At least that was my perception. So I said, why not? And I transferred into it, and I immediately saw the last thing I said, which is like, you're in high demand from the start. The business side of me with supply and demand started kicking in. I was like, okay, that's cool. I want to be in high demand. And so that it started from there. And I, throughout my career, had different roles, but I've always been in the fire protection industry. But that's how I found it.
That's awesome. Thanks so much for sharing that with us. And I know I mentioned you are the CEO of Jensen Hughes now. And earlier this year, we did announce our partnership with Jensen Hughes and Phoenix Society. So we will definitely dive into our partnership a little bit more. But I was just wondering if obviously I know the company and I know a little bit more about it, but many of our listeners may not. So can you just tell us a little bit more about Jensen Hughes and the organization as a whole?
Sure. I mean, I'll start high level and you can ask me anything you want as a follow-up, but we have almost 1,800 employees now. The write-up's at 1,700, but that kind of is emblematic of our growth trajectory. Like, we just keep growing. We have operations all over the world. And those colleagues do all things related to fire and security and risk-related engineering. And our purpose is to make our world safe, secure, and resilient. And that's, where the alignment comes in with the Phoenix Society, and we can dive into that. But we're all things fire protection engineering. We design safe buildings. We consult on new and emerging threats and hazards like wildland fires and energy storage systems. We'll do forensic engineering when there is a major fire. We'll help investigate what happened, or saying, hey, did something fail? Just it goes on and on. We'll test things in our labs around fire. So all things fire protection. We also serve 90% of the nuclear power fleet in the US and many other nuclear power authorities around the world, both for fire protection engineering and general risk-related matters. We also do, security and emergency management and markets like healthcare and POG. And it's a services company, so we have consultants that go out and consult with owners and architects and everything, and we bill our time for those services. But we're also very technologically focused, so we have tech-enabled services, and now obviously, as you can imagine, we're embedding AI solutions in our work for our clients to just be on the cutting edge.
That's amazing. And it's amazing to see how much the organization has been growing. 1,800 employees. This sounds like a million compared to our 15 here at Phoenix Society. I'm like, oh my gosh.
We do a lot of mergers and acquisitions, but lately most of our growth over the last handful of years has been organic. We're growing our core business, but we look for very specialized market leaders around the world that fit our purpose, again, to make our world safe, secure, and resilient. And when we find a company that meets, we have values alignment on and we have purpose alignment on, we merge with them to just continue to drive our purpose. And we underpin that purpose with four main principles. We act, as a company, we look at people. It all starts with our culture and our people and feeling great and trusted and included, and that they have a sense of belonging. We look at our clients, making sure that we do great work and they keep coming back to us, but we're actually sensitive to what they're trying to solve for.
Mm-hmm.
The third is our industry, which we're trying to advance innovation, shape standards, and partner with organizations like yourself. And then on performance, we like to continue to grow profitably so we can invest in everything else. So
Mm-hmm.
it's really our industry principle that led us to the Phoenix Society.
That's awesome. Well, before we dive a little bit more into our partnership, I'd love just to learn too about, fire protection engineering isn't something, I guess, even as a survivor growing up, because I was burned when I was 3, and I knew I always wanted to give back to the burn community in my career. So I always thought healthcare was the way to go. And then I went to school for that and I hated it. I just didn't enjoy learning about it. So
Yeah.
I still ended up here, which is great. But I think fire protection engineering is something that maybe survivors who do want to give back, that's another avenue to help our burn community without necessarily going, to be a nurse or a doctor, which is also a great opportunity. But so what kind of, I guess, tips or advice would you maybe have for someone who is looking to get into this industry?
Well, have a passion for it
Mm-hmm.
is number one. And I don't think there's a lack of passion from you and other burn survivors, as well as our industry in general. So that's awesome. I think an orientation where you like to engage with clients and colleagues. It's a very collaborative kind of process. You're a consultant, just like a lawyer or an accountant or whatever. You're working with the end client, and you need to develop a trusted relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And once people trust you, they continue to do business with you over and over and over again. It's not just our company, it's our competitors. The reason why we don't serve 100% of the market is that there's somebody else out there that really trusts somebody like Rachel and says, Rachel solved my problem.
Mm-hmm.
She's my go-to person. And so it would be passion, people skills. Obviously, since we're in the STEM field, the STEM orientation as well. But that doesn't mean you have to work at our you have to work. In order to work for our company, you have to be a frontline consultant. You could be in the finance department or the HR team or the marketing team, and just somewhere where you want to win and have fun.
Yeah.
Because we work hard, we play hard, and we just have fun while we do it. So yeah, that's what I would say. And that the actual profession, for people who don't know, is, like fire protection engineering. What we do is we're really looking at the codes and standards that govern our world. And there's different buildings out there, and buildings is not the only thing, but let's just take that as an example. Let's just say it's an airport terminal. There's airport terminals out there that need to meet the code. Some of them can't meet the code. So you have to design them in a way and do the engineering analysis to say, this is cool. Like, this is just as safe, but it's going to defy the odds of, defy the code in some way. And then we go and make sure that all the authorities and fire marshals and approvers are on board with it. And that's just one area of our work, but a big area of our work.
Yeah. And just from, listening, you kind of talk about some of the services you offer. I'm guessing you primarily work in the commercial space and not so much the residential or individual, like homes and things like that. Is that correct?
Well, yes and yes. We don't do single family homes, really.
Okay.
In some parts of the world, once in a while, we may do something there, but not primarily. We will do multifamily residential apartments in some markets, specifically in the United Kingdom and in some parts of Europe, and also Australia and New Zealand. We do that type of